don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy and none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
We're witnessing a story that feels less like a family issue and more like a ticking time bomb. Jay-Z's alleged son isn't just asking to be recognized. He claims to have evidence that could destroy powerful empires. According to him, and people said to be close to him, he has recordings from Diddy's infamous parties videos described as private, raw, and seriously damaging. Insiders say these files were given to him by people who call themselves victims and by others who work behind the scenes. Their only condition, that he use the evidence in court to take down both Jay-Z and Diddy. This isn't just rumor or gossip. It's being called an open attack on two men who've shaped hip-hop's culture and business for more than 30 years.
You understand? I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their
risk. From what we've learned, the young man is presenting himself as both a witness and a whistleblower. He claims the footage he has will reveal a pattern of manipulation and silence that goes far beyond normal celebrity scandals. He says he's speaking for people who were mistreated in that world, a world where money and fame allegedly provided protection for the powerful. But even his stance has divided the public. Some believe Jay-Z might be using his wealth and influence to hide the evidence, or even twist the story to make it look like his son is trying to extort him. It's a painful situation, a son asking for justice, and a father accused of trying to buy peace no matter the cost. The tension only grew when Diddy's conviction was announced. On October 3, 2025, the producer, once known as Brother Love, was sentenced to 50 months in prison after a federal jury found him guilty on 2 counts of transporting people for illegal acts under the Century-Old Man Act. The verdict didn't come out of nowhere. During the 8-week trial, prosecutors presented testimony from Cassie Ventura and another woman, known only as Jane. Both described being taken across state lines for what the court called illegal acts, some of which were filmed at events known as freak-offs. The stories were disturbing, filled with accounts of control, drugs, and cameras rolling while the line between consent and fear disappeared. When the judge finally spoke, he said a strong sentence was necessary to send a message. Diddy, now 55, later wrote in a letter, "I lost my way." Interview.
I think Sandbank and Freed were in the unit that was 1 floor above mine. So in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is.
Those words hit hard, but just weeks later, reports surfaced that Diddy had been caught by prison staff at FCI Fort Dix with a homemade drink brewed from fruit and soda. The incident made it seem like his remorse hadn't lasted long. Even behind bars, Diddy's name continues to be tied to dozens of civil lawsuits from men and women who say they were forced to attend his private parties. Prosecutors claim that many of those gatherings included the same celebrities now caught up in this latest controversy. If the alleged son truly has recordings from those nights, the footage could link Jay-Z not only to his former friend's downfall, but also to actions that courts have already labeled as criminal.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact-finding.
Jay-Z's silence hasn't done him any favors. After Diddy's sentencing, the rapper faced renewed attention over an unresolved civil case accusing him and Diddy of assaulting a 13-year-old at an afterparty following the 2000 Video Music Awards. The anonymous lawsuit claims both men were there, that drugs were involved, and that the incident was filmed. Jay-Z's lawyers have dismissed the case as a blackmail attempt, while Diddy's team called it pure fiction. But that same year has now become central to this new story because the Sun reports that the alleged son's evidence includes recordings from that exact time. Recordings that could reveal who was in those rooms and what really happened once the cameras stopped rolling. For years, Jay-Z has faced accusations about a hidden child. The case of Ryer Satwait, now in his 30s, has been ongoing since the early 2010s. Court records show repeated efforts to get Jay-Z to take a DNA test and repeated refusals from his lawyers. Judges in New Jersey and Pennsylvania dismissed earlier petitions, citing jurisdiction problems and expired time limits. But this year, Satwait brought the case back, claiming Jay-Z's legal team committed procedural fraud to stop him from ever being tested. The new lawsuit, filed in late November, accuses the state court system of obstruction and demands that sealed records be reopened. Whether these filings represent a real legal push or part of a larger strategy is now up for debate, but the timing, coming just days before JC's name surfaced in Diddy's ongoing scandal, has only fueled public suspicion.
Hey,
Yeah.
at this point, I would want, why?
Behind all of this lies a long and complicated history between the two moguls. From their first collaborations in 1997 to their public displays of brotherhood at ROC Nation brunches, Diddy and Jay-Z built the image of shared success. Together, they donated millions after Hurricane Katrina, celebrated each other's milestones, and appeared side by side at nearly every major industry event for more than 20 years. But those same photos are now being viewed differently. Former associates have started to describe their relationship as less about friendship and more about mutual protection, a silent understanding to keep certain secrets buried. When Diddy's ex-partner Cassie testified in court about private encounters involving drugs and hired participants, observers pointed out that many of those nights overlapped with parties where Jay-Z was also rumored to be present.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak off, I'm going to release one of the freak off videos that you are profiled in and humiliate you."
What makes the Sun's claims so explosive isn't just his connection to Jay-Z, it's the claim that he holds evidence from those very same parties. According to insiders who say they've seen the files, some of the videos include A-list celebrities and scenes that raise serious questions about consent and involvement. If that material ever reaches court, it could push federal prosecutors to reopen old cases that were thought to be closed. It could also threaten Jay-Z's carefully built empire from music streaming and sports agencies to high-end brands. That's why whispers across the entertainment world suggest that powerful figures have already approached the young man, offering support funds that look more like secret settlements. None of this has been proven, but even the rumors have turned him into both a target and a potential key witness. There's also an emotional side to all this. Ryer Satwait has said publicly that he doesn't want money, only acknowledgement and justice, both for himself and for others who were hurt. But critics online argue that by linking his claims to Diddy's criminal case, he's using his personal pain as leverage. Some legal experts think there's strategy behind the chaos. If his testimony connects Jay-Z to events that fall under federal law, prosecutors could pressure one man to testify against the other. In that kind of situation, family ties could become bargaining chips. And in a world where both men are already under investigation, even the possibility of new evidence is enough to send shockwaves through their inner circle of billionaires and power brokers. Meanwhile, Diddy's time in prison hasn't stopped the speculation. Reports from Fort Dix say he still receives visits from former business partners and even athletes, a sign that his influence may still stretch beyond prison walls. That alone gives weight to the Sun's story. If insiders really trusted him enough to hand over sensitive material, it suggests they still believe Diddy's power in the industry is dangerous. According to people close to the case, their goal isn't money, it's exposure. They see the alleged Sun as the one person with nothing left to lose. And you're left thinking,
You say greed? The money?
Yeah.
Or the power, one of the two.
I mean, it
I
looks
don't
more
know.
like power.
It's this spell, right?
Right.
That Jay got. That's why I kind of look at Kanye and Dame and all them. They the old me.
Right.
They the YouTube me.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That this Dame look like the old YouTube me to me, because he hurt, bro.
we can't ignore how deeply these stories are connected to Diddy's legal downfall, Jay-Z's silence, and the sudden reappearance of a man who's been fighting for recognition ever since his mother passed away. With every new statement and every court filing, more names are drawn into the spotlight. And behind each revelation, one question refuses to fade. What's really on those recordings? This isn't just a son demanding answers from his father. It's someone claiming to hold the one thing that Jay-Z and Diddy can't afford the world to see. If his story is true, the fallout won't just be personal, it'll be criminal. And now, with whispers that more witnesses are preparing to come forward, some holding copies of their own, it's clear. This story is far from over. In fact, it may be only beginning to unravel.
I mean, let's just be real for a second. There are a lot of lawyers who call this legal extortion. And that this is the way the legal system works, which is you threaten somebody with reputational harm. And in this case, it's interesting that Jay-Z, who's very wealthy, said it would be financial.
Jay-Z's legal team has shifted into full counterattack mode, but not in the way most people expected. Instead of addressing the allegations directly or explaining what might be on those rumored recordings, they've focused their efforts on discrediting the man behind the claims. In recent court filings, his lawyers described the paternity suit as a decades-long harassment campaign, a phrase repeated across multiple documents as if to etch it permanently into the public record. They argue that every accusation, every suggestion of family betrayal, every whisper of hidden evidence is part of what they call a long pattern of legal manipulation. But observers haven't missed the irony. The alleged son claims those same lawyers have privately approached him several times not to recognize him, but to pay him off and make him disappear. It's become a battle of narratives, sharp enough to cut both ways. One side calls it extortion, the other calls it intimidation, and we're left wondering which story has more to lose if it's true. The tension has only grown because the stakes couldn't be higher. If the alleged videos are real, and if they show what insiders claim they do, private acts involving vulnerable individuals and moments of coercion, then Jay-Z's problems extend far beyond family court. These recordings could open the door to criminal charges, not just public embarrassment. We've already seen how Diddy's empire fell once federal prosecutors stepped in. His conviction on 2 counts of transporting people for illegal acts under the Monk Act earned him more than 4 years in prison, and those charges were considered narrow. If new material links Jay-Z to anything involving underage victims or coercive behavior, the consequences could make Diddy's 50-month sentence look small. That's why investigators and gossip outlets alike are revisiting the March 2024 raid on Diddy's Miami mansion. Agents from several federal departments seized computers, hard drives, and phones. The question now is, were they searching for the same footage the son claims to have, or was that raid an early attempt to contain a scandal that's only now coming to light?
That he has with others, and just because no one else has been charged, which normally in a RICO case you would have others charged, it was a statute designed to get mob bosses, trying to get at criminal behavior that's like a web of criminal behavior that you can't necessarily prove, like the one thing or the statute of limitations expired on the other thing, but you're just showing this bad guy who's operating what's clearly an enterprise that over and over engages in criminal problems or criminal acts.
You can't ignore the timing. That raid took place months before Diddy was formally indicted, at a time when both he and Jay-Z were still appearing together at high-profile events. Insiders say that during those months, communication between their teams spiked. There were more encrypted messages, more private flights, and more unlisted meetings than usual. Former security contractors have even suggested that certain storage materials were quietly moved from properties connected to both men. None of this has been confirmed by law enforcement, but the pattern is hard to overlook. For years, their fortunes rose side by side now. Their scandals seem to be doing the same. The emotional tension here goes deeper than money or reputation. Why would victims or former insiders trust Jay-Z's alleged son with such sensitive material? That question has split public opinion. Some believe he's the only person outside their inner circle who isn't controlled by the empire. Someone with enough resentment and nothing left to lose to finally act. Others argue he's being used as a pawn by powerful enemies. People who want to turn Jay-Z and Diddy against each other and watch the empire collapse from within. We've seen this kind of power play before in the music industry, where loyalty cracks under pressure and influence becomes a weapon. But this time, the stakes aren't just about betrayal. They involve evidence that could rewrite the history of hip-hop's most powerful partnership.
So he put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? Like he never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about that name.
Meanwhile, we've all seen Diddy's letters from prison, the ones written before and after his sentencing, where he spoke of losing his way and being humbled to the core. On the surface, they read like repentance, but insiders who know him say there's more strategy than sorrow in those words. The man once known as Puff Daddy now spends his days in a New Jersey correctional facility, reportedly counseling younger inmates, yet he still reportedly controls parts of his business through intermediaries. If he truly has no knowledge of these videos, why are his lawyers continuing to file motions related to the digital evidence seized during the 2024 raid? And if the recordings are harmless, why are former associates so eager to leak that they were part of his downfall? Jay-Z's silence, in contrast, feels deliberate. He hasn't publicly addressed the son's statements. His only comments since the lawsuit focus on denying the civil allegations connected to Diddy's 2000 after-party. Privately, his team has doubled down on a strategy summed up in 2 words: discredit and delay. Court insiders say they've repeatedly requested extensions to respond, citing procedural reasons, while quietly working to trace the son's communication networks. The message seems clear. contain the source before any footage spreads. What remains uncertain is whether the recordings even exist or if they're already in multiple hands. Industry veterans suggest copies may already be circulating overseas. One source, who worked in post-production for a luxury brand campaign, says a third-party consultant mentioned months ago being approached with highly compromising content involving a well-known artist. Another insider claims a group of journalists in London was offered encrypted files allegedly showing footage from Diddy's white parties in the early 2000s. None of these accounts can be verified, but the rumor alone has made the atmosphere toxic. Every leak, every anonymous post adds to the sense that someone is playing a very long and careful game.